Hello and welcome to the second edition of We'd Rather See This, a weekly cannabis-focused news and public affairs program. This is Marguerite Arnold, reporting animatedly from Frankfurt, Germany. This week, the explosive success of the Cannabo IPO in London, the status of U.S. cannabis reform at the state level, Thailand embarks on its own fusion version of an integrated cultivation and distribution infrastructure, and a leading cannabis conference announces its next meeting for June to be held both digitally and live in Jerusalem. First on the agenda, Israeli medical vape manufacturer Cannabo shares doubled in value upon their successful IPO on the London Stock Exchange on Tuesday. This has certainly set the pace for a raft of real optimism across the European industry that is starting to get, excuse the pandemic pun, a bit more contagious. Kanabo, for those who are unfamiliar with the company, is an Israeli certified medical vape manufacturer now absolutely primed and financed, thanks to the British IPO, to go head to head with the current market share leader, German firm Storz & Bickel. However, the success of both Kanabo and the other early mover on the LSE, Aussie medical cannabis firm MGC Pharma, is not an overnight phenom. These are medical firms with traction, product, and certifications in multiple countries. Beyond the medical focus of these two early listings, however, the seeds of success of this financial market debut in the UK have been brewing since before Brexit became formal. Former footballer David Beckham is also expected to go public with his own offering, albeit made from synthetic CBD. Bottom line, the new openness of the LSE to such firms is a clear sign that the medical and more regulated cannabis market in Europe is absolutely beginning to come into its own, if not set the pace for the rest of the industry globally. One more example of this emerging trend, Research and Markets just released a new report projecting the annual growth of the global cannabis testing market at a healthy 13% through 2025. Certification and quality testing is one of the biggest remaining bugbears in the room, even in Europe. All of these factors and trends combined, of course, are grounds for a great deal of optimism. There is regulatory change that is finally supporting the growth of an industry that is long overdue. Indeed, the cash raised in London will almost certainly fuel an expanded medical cultivation and production infrastructure in the UK, as well as across Europe over the next few years. The success of firms in London, however, stands in direct contrast to the recent popping of the short-lived public market rally of more established Canadian cannabis companies over the last several weeks. The bloom may be off that rose for some time to come, particularly with the new path to development of the far more stable and regulated production market now clearly coming back on track is still in its early days in both the UK and the EU. While Europe and the UK move forward on a much higher regulated version of reform of both the medical and CBD kind, there is also good news from the US. On a state level, the discussion is in front of lawmakers in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Idaho, and South Dakota, flyover states all, but a measure certainly of how far the issue of full normalization has moved in just a few short years. Indeed, at the turn of the last decade, there was still only California with a semi-legit medical market anywhere in the U.S. How fast state action will turn into federal reform is at this point a numbers game. The topic is almost certain to be on the agenda during the next presidential election. In the meantime, the Biden administration has not, unlike counterparts in Europe, for example, made much noise about incorporating cannabis into expanded healthcare coverage. Across the world in Thailand, there has also been an intriguing new development not seen anywhere else so far. The country, which legalized the drug legislatively on Christmas Day 2018 as a gift to the Thai people, has also been making progress on establishing a cultivation infrastructure, and in a so far completely unique way. In early February, the Public Health Ministry kicked off a cultivation project in the Isan province of Buriram. Members of an existing community enterprise project will be given 6 plants each. Harvested buds and flowers will be sent to a local hospital for medical dispensation by doctors. In the meantime, the country's first cannabis cafe has also opened, less than 2 months after the government removed the narcotic designation from low THC cannabis. And finally, one of the world's most renowned cannabis conferences, the International Cannabis Research Society, or ICRC, announced last week that it would hold its 31st annual symposium on cannabinoids in June, both live and online, in conjunction with Raphael Meckelum's 90th birthday. A fitting celebration indeed. Shalom. That's all for this edition of We'd Rather See This. I'm Marguerite Arnold. See you next week, same Batcat Cannabis channel.